So another week goes by and we still don't have a Star Citizen roadmap update. Now, it's not the end of the world because with the Squadron 42 roadmap, there's potentially some information there that could impact a lot of the ships that we're currently flying right now. So we're going with what we got, and maybe we're going to do also a little bit of the episode that I've been dreading to do, which is Titan Armor. Since the early days of Star Citizen, one of the topics that has been very hotly debated by the community has been the possibility of NPC crews, either to augment, in some cases, or fully crew a multi-crew ship for a player. Let's say, a ship like the Hammerhead certainly drives a lot of interest, but there's probably a lot of concern out there. Can I crew it with an NPC crew? There's a lot of people who have their eye on answering this question. And it's possible that over the next year, we might start to really formulate a concrete answer to these questions. Now, while the Star Citizen roadmap has been devoid of updates for quite some time now, the Squadron 42 roadmap has really dropped a whole lot of interesting information in our laps, which, some people might dismiss it out of hand and say, yeah, but that's Squadron 42, that doesn't matter. But we know that Squadron 42, a lot of the elements within that game are kind of kept under wraps. They don't want to overexpose us to these elements. They want it to be very much an experience when you jump into the game. As direct evidence of that, the Idris. The Idris is being held back from, players being able to fly it until after Squadron 42 releases, to preserve that experience in the game. So anyone who owns an Idris, you won't be able to fly your ship in Star Citizen until after Squadron 42, I guess, at least gets into beta and people have played it and had that experience. The exact date is something that we don't know, but within that Squadron 42 roadmap is a lot of information which I think directly bears on how things are going to play out in Star Citizen over the next year. Now, of course, Squadron 42 is a single-player experience, so a lot of what you're interacting with is AI, NPCs, that sort of thing. And so a lot of that development is covered very heavily in the Squadron 42 roadmap. What's not, explicitly stated is, when are these things going to make it into Star Citizen? Or are they going to make it into Star Citizen to coincide with the dates that they have scheduled for their completion? I would argue that, in my opinion, yeah, some of this is indeed going to bleed over into Star Citizen. My reasoning behind that is, once again, that same secrecy that CIG likes to kind of keep around Squadron 42 to preserve that experience. The early testing of these things is probably going to end up in Star Citizen so they can get the testing in without giving away, the circumstances in which certain plot points might be revealed or any bombshells may come out. If players get access to Squadron 42 and begin to play test it, they're probably going to use Star Citizen as the testing ground for a lot of these technologies. Now, some of the notable things that are in this roadmap are wingmen, AI wingman commands in, Q1 2019. And then we have, FPS AI, like companion AI, coming in Q2 of 2019. So these are, guys that are following you around on the ground and supposedly assisting you. It seems, likely that some of this is going to make it into Star Citizen. Now, it doesn't directly say AI manning turrets, AI serving as your bodyguard or anything like that, but these are functions that we may indeed see within the game, at least in some kind of Tier 0 implementation. We may, because of our game packages, we may get access to very basic AI, NPCs that assist us. in the game, or we may have to go out onto a job board and rent them if we don't, if you're a player who doesn't have that extra game package which allows for that. So I think it's very likely that we are going to experiment with a lot of these things. Even the FPS missions that we're getting right now can easily argue that this is going to, serve as a bit of a test bed for FPS action within Squadron 42. Now, within, all these AI behaviors, there's one thing right here, which is FPS Titan. Specific enemy AI behaviors for a more fulfilling combat experience. And it uses this image here. So, yeah, here's a closer view of that image. Titan armor. A topic that I have avoided, admittedly. Why? There's a lot of things to be very enthusiastic about here. There really are. I mean, you just do an FPS ground mission, and you've faced those risks if you've done any of these missions. You know what the dangers are. I mean, being able to roll in there with some kind of Iron Man suit, or not really an Iron Man suit, it's more like those Justin Hammer suits, the other guy's suits in Iron Man 2. At least the appearance. And it's cool. It looks great. It looks awesome. And you can think about it. I mean, you're doing these missions. Why don't you just hop into a Cutlass? You got this thing stored in the back. You got the storage space for it. Titan, Avenger Titan. Think you're shit out of luck, but a Freelancer Cutlass starting in that area, certainly room for it. Certainly room for these things in Valkyries. There's a lot to get excited about, but the implementation is still a question mark. We could sit here and say, oh, this is such an obvious win for CIG. Of course people are going to be excited about it. Of course people are going to be, really excited to see this thing in game. And I think that you have to kind of temper that excitement a little bit, and you have to wait to see, how CR brings it into the game, right? What he's going to do with it. Is it going to be something that's more utilitarian, more civilian, like cargo handling and utility tools, as one of the pieces of art that they showed us recently in regards to this was? I mean, is this going to be something for loading up these giant crates of cargo you see lying around everywhere? Like, let's say you do this mission, you go, oh, you know what? There's skids full of guns and weapons. Yeah, there's the utility version, I presume, with the modular cargo arm and the utility arm. It's on his right and his left, or vice versa. Sorry for assuming the Titan armor's gender. But, there's a lot of cool possibilities, a lot of interesting possibilities, but I don't want to get too excited about it until I see what CIG is going to do with it. Do I think that there's room here for a concept sale? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You put guns on those arms, or you allow it to carry a big, heavy gun, and you give it different patterns. Here's the utility version that you can use sort of like as, a utility spacesuit or a repair suit. I mean, it could take the place of the cutter on the Reclaimer. It could kind of fulfill that role to a certain degree. Or you can get the combat version, throw up a digital camo pattern on it, something futuristic, something suitable to the environment. Of course, people are going to line up for something like this. It's a no-brainer. But I don't want to get too excited about it because I want to see the implementation of it first. You know what I mean? So I am an enthusiast, but a reserved enthusiast. There's a little bit of concern, I have to admit, on how it might affect the game. Like, let's say it becomes something that almost becomes a necessity if you're doing FPS. Like, oh, you need to bring this thing. That would be a concern because obviously there's going to be size constraints and capability constraints with spaceships. You don't know what can carry it, what can't carry it. It could create issues that way, but we'll have to wait and see if this is something that truly does materialize, or if this is just something that's unique to Squadron 42, or if it's going to carry over into Star Citizen. Who knows? Gotta wait and see. So that's why I really haven't covered the Titan armor thing up till this point. I do think that it's interesting that it pops up on the roadmap, you know, and it's kind of, I don't know. I still think that there's something odd going on there. The fact that it mentions Titan and it talks about something different, you know, possibly a mistake. I know that those are rare, few and far between. But, you know, is it something that we might see for sale in the next year? Possibly. I mean, we've pretty much got just about every ship that we really need, except for maybe like a dedicated command and control ship, something like an AWACS or something like that. We don't have that, but apart from that, I think we have pretty much everything that we need. I mean, we got luxury ships, we got passenger liners, we got miners, we got salvagers, we got cargo runners, cargo thieves, data runners and data thieves. We got everything. So what's left to sell, right? We already sold tanks. So yeah, I think that it's likely that we may see something like this, but once again, gotta wait and see. Anyways, that's the show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.